All right, once again, it's BG with the Boxing Politic. Thank you for checking in. Just do me a favor if you would. Please hit that like button if you're feeling what I'm saying in the video, or just the support. It's all good for me. It helps the channel grow, as well as subscribe. As you see, I was saying it like over and over and over. We're gonna have more videos, and now we have more consistent videos, and I plan to keep it up as boxing keeps going. You'll see more. Also, like I said, like, subscribe, and please share the videos. If you like what I'm saying and you think other people can agree or disagree, I love to hear it. I love getting opinions or any feedback. It helps make the show a little bit more interesting. It makes it feel like I'm talking to people. I love hearing opinions, whether it's agreeing or disagreeing. It's all good with me. But yeah. So this video is gonna be about the September 26th fight. I've already done a video explaining my opinion, my breakdown of how I believe that the Jermall Charlo versus Jason Rosario fight will go. So I want to take it a step and get to the other fight on the card, the co-main event, Jermall Charlo versus Sergiy Derevyanchenkoy. This fight, I think, is gonna be more competitive than the other. The other fight is more, I guess, consequential because there are more belts involved. We'll get really an undisputed. It's hard to count the WBO because I don't even know who the WBO at 154 is right now. For the longest, it was Jaime Munguia, and he was kind of hidden away over at the zone, fighting guys who really shouldn't have been competing for a belt. And the real fire at the division was over at PBC, and these guys were going back and forth. The belts were getting passed around because the competition level was pretty stiff, and these guys are on par with one another. It depends on the night. I think Jermall is starting to show that he's the cream of the crop at that division, but we'll see. We'll see as things go on. But at 160, this fight, it may not have the gravitas of the other because there's only one belt involved, the WBC belt. But we get Sergiy Derevyanchenkoy, he's fought at the pretty much the highest levels at that division. You had a man with his former stablemate Danny Jacobs. You had a man with Triple G, and in both fights he was extremely competitive. There were thoughts that he won either fight. So yeah, I mean, this guy is a tough opponent. He's going to be an extremely tough opponent for Jermall Charlo. And yeah, just to talk about how I see the fight going, first I want to go into the dimensions of the fighters. Not Jermall, but Jermall is probably about what? He's 6 feet tall. I think Sergey is about 5'9", so that's about 3 or 4 inch height advantage right there. So we have a height advantage. We also have a 6-inch range advantage. So he's gonna be able to keep him on. He would like to keep him on the outside. I can't say he would be able to, but he definitely has the dimensions to be able to do so. The most glaring difference is the 4-year age advantage that Charlo has. He's 4 years younger, and then coming off of this break, who knows if being the older guy, having some time off, could have helped him, especially after that fight with Golovkin. It was a rough and tumble. It was a back and forth, really rough fight, and it could have helped, but it also, being at that age, who knows if he might want to be a little bit more active because we all know how Father Time does. So you might not know that you're not ready for this level until that time comes. The fight, I believe it was about 10 months ago, so he's had close to a year out of the ring. Charlo last fought at about December, so he has had about 8 or 9 months. Ironically, I mean, not ironically, but coincidentally, that's not too far from what we usually see with a lot of the guys now. Usually about they fight about 2 times a year. So this one, I mean, it may be an extra couple of months, but it's nothing where I would believe that any ring rust would be involved. So that factor may not apply to Charlo, but it may apply to Derevyanchenko. Um, just going into the styles of the fight, starting with starting with Charlo, uh, we see that he's a good more of a he's like a boxer puncher. Yeah, I say a boxer puncher. That's how I qualify him completely. The jab he has, I think, is one of the best jabs in boxing. Is definitely pound for pound the strongest in the sport. No one hits as hard with the jab. I've seen him put countless people on the ground. Well, not countless would assume that he's had countless fights, but he's put a lot of his opponents on the ground with the jab. He's done it to I mean, most visibly was Williams. J Rock, yeah. So Julian J Rock Williams, most visibly, he was able to hit him with like one counter jab that put him down. And it's one of the most effective tools in boxing when I see his, because he sets up a lot of his punches off of that. His power shots come off the jab. He if you look at his like average punches around, his activity is not as high at middleweight as he was in the lower weight class, and I don't know if that's just because a lot of his fights have ended earlier. But once he went up in weight, I think he's had 2 fights that went the distance at middleweight. So he may throw less per round, but you'll see it's heavy with that jab, and that's where he sets up his power. One thing I would say is that he may be a headhunter. I was speaking about his brother in the last video, where he goes more up and down with his offense, but not saying that Jermall Charlo avoids the body, but I will say that his body attack isn't as effective as his twins, and maybe that's a part of going over there training with Errol Spence and his new coach that made him more I guess well-rounded in his attacking up and down. But Jermall Charlo stayed where he was, and I'm seeing that he's more of a head hunter than well, yeah, most of his attacks are gonna come at the head. So that may be that may make it so that he's a little bit more predictable when going in versus Sergiy. But those are some of the things I've noticed about him. Extremely powerful puncher, extremely strong chin. So I don't expect him to be in any position to be knocked out or anything like that, because this guy, I mean, he takes heavy hits. I've never seen him buckled, or him or his twin, actually. Never seen them buckled in any of the fights that they've been in, and both have been hit flush quite a few times. As far as his starts, he gets off to I think they use the first couple of rounds as he uses probably them as like a fill out round, getting to understand who he's in the ring with, and then being able to adapt to him. Then there is offense in those rounds, so it's not like he's just sitting and watching. He is probing, hitting with the jab, going in, trying to catch him. So these things like that are gonna play into his hand as we go into discussing Sergiy. So Sergiy, I would say his style is pretty much fundamental. I don't want to say basic, because basic has a connotation with it, but it's formulaic. It's what you would expect. He is a orthodox fighter. He throws a jab. He throws it actually more often than I would say with Jermall Charlo, but I don't know if it's the same effectiveness as a tool. I don't think I know it's not as powerful, but as far as like being as effective in setting up his offense, I mean, he keeps it pumping out there. One thing I would say about him is he gets off to a late start. So we saw in uh, the Jacobs fight, the Triple G fight. That I mean, in both of those fights, he was put down in the first round. Um, he got off to a slower start. Um, got off to a slower start and really picked it up towards the end. He even did so with what's the guy, J- Kulke, Jeff Kulke, something like that. Um, I was watching that fight and he couldn't really catch up to the guy, so he wasn't really doing effective offense. So it that ended up being a pretty close fight from what I watched. But yeah, he gets off to a late start and is able to kind of pull things out towards the end. He reminds me of Badu Jack in that regard. Badu Jack suffered a lot of draws and split decisions and everything, but those things happen when you get off to such a late start. So it's usually by the middle rounds that you're really seeing Derevyanchenko coming to his own. Now that's not going to play into his hands if you're fighting a guy like Charlo who might take one round to fill you out, 1 or 2 rounds, but at the same time he's pushing offense. He's he's trying to understand how you're going to react to his punches and everything like that, how you're going to slip, and then come at you for counters and everything like that. Um, Derevyanchenko, when I was watching the Triple G fight, I saw that he would let loose combos, but he did that with when Triple G kept his hands at home because his defense is like crunching down, hands up like that. So he was able to let off combos, but I didn't. I I don't think that'll be the same case with Charlo because him, as I said in the video with his brother, they like to punch with you, so they're not gonna shell up when the fire gets hot. So with that case, I don't expect Sergiy to back down either. He'll punch with you as well. I just think he won't be as effective. I don't think of him as like a knockout puncher. He has good power. It's been effective, but it's not. I wouldn't consider him a knockout puncher. And defensively, we've seen him, like I said, get put down a couple times. I don't count the cut with Triple G. I believe that was due to headbutts, but yeah, his defense. He's very hittable. He's hittable. We saw that with Danny Jacobs. They sparred countless times, but um, he was still susceptible to a lot of the punches that were coming from Danny Jacobs. There's not one in particular I would say he's more susceptible to than others. Like some people might have a habit of dropping a hand or something like that. I don't really see that with Sergi. It's just that he's just he doesn't have that tact to where he's able to just catch punches and roll off them and everything like that. He typically, I mean, not typically gets hit, but I just wouldn't say that his defense is something to really write home about. It's about average. I'd say it's about average. I'd say yeah, I give Charlo the edge in that one, and he gets hit as well. Both of them get hit. I just think that Sergi gets hit more often, and he won't be as powerful with his punches. So that's but that's not taking into fact that Sergi does fight to the level of his opposition. Like I said, he pulls the fights out later, and he's able to pick himself up. So he really fought to GGG's level. I mean, I would say he had got the victory in that fight. It didn't read off that way to the judges. And those are only opinions that matter. But he definitely fought to his level. He fought on par with Danny Jacobs, Jack Culcay. So these are the main fights I was looking at to just to understand what we be watching. But yeah, he tends to fight to the level of his opposition, and that's gonna lead to. I say that would lead to a pretty well matched fight. Obviously, if you fight to the level of their opposition, it's gonna be pretty well matched. Um, but I don't think he's gonna have something that really puts him above and beyond his opposition. Um, as far as like his method of fighting, he has a good arsenal attack. One advantage I give him is his body work. He did great body work with Triple G. He does not neglect that area. He's gonna do hooks to either side, and he's more active. He's the more active fighter. He's I think I had to go to the stats on this one, but maybe averages about 100 more punches a fight than Charlo. But those with those 100 punches comes the opening to get hit as well. So he makes himself more active, but he makes himself more vulnerable at the same time. So with that being said, um, in the last fight, his last fight, he um, he was active. He was able to push the pace. Um, the Charlo won't get tired like GGG did or often does. You don't really catch either one of them out of shape, so you never see him really tired. When I saw the Korobov fight with Charlo, he was able to really do some good work in the 12th round and like really he staggered or either hurt Korobov pretty well. So his power is gonna last the course of the fight, and I don't see him tiring out. So activity may be key, but I don't see Jermall keeping his hands at home if Sergiy is more active, and I don't see him tiring him out either. The way I see this fight playing out, I mean, it's gonna be Charlo early. Uh, Sergiy will pick it up towards the middle rounds, and they may exchange rounds at about that time and until the end of fight. So early activity, I believe, will give early activity as well as like being very competitive, like right equal with Sergiy towards the end of the fight, towards the middle and end of the fight. I think that's gonna be how this fight plays out, and I can see Charlo getting a unanimous decision in this case, or a split decision, just based on how Derevyanchenko fights. I mean, he fights to the level of his opposition, like I said, so it won't surprise me if it's close going late, but I expect for this to be Charlo's coming out fight at the weight class. So if he gets in there and he gets the fight first on this one. This isn't like the last fight where the Korobov fight, where I believe that seeing Jermall get the loss actually affected his performance. You know, that thing they have, like they build off each other, so that kind of interfered. I was surprised that they put them on the same card again, but I believe he's going first this time, so we won't have to worry about that. So I think, yeah, I think just coming in there with a clear head, he should be able to pull it out. If he knocks him out, I'd be surprised and impressed, and he'd be making a statement at the weight class. But if he gets a clean, clear, unanimous decision, that's making a statement to GGG that he surpassed him at the weight class, I believe, because body of work at the weight class, of course, Triple G's body of work at the weight class is higher. But when I look at 154 and 160, I'm leaning towards Charlo on that. His body of work is superior, and I believe he will win that fight easier than he would win the fight he's about to go into. So, long story short, I'm predicting a UD for Jermall Charlo. If I could hedge my bet, I'd say a split decision for him, but I'm really leaning towards a unanimous decision where he racks up the early rounds and is very effective, very competitive, or even very competitive in the middle and late rounds. So if you have an opinion based on that, please feel free to share. I love discussing fights with anybody. This is what makes the sport fun. This is what makes it better than more, I would say, objective sports like football and basketball, where you can just point to the scoreboard. This is your opinion on how it can play out. It can play out a multitude of ways, and then on top of it, you can actually debate who won or didn't win. So just let me know how you see it. I'm saying Jermall Charlo, unanimous decision, and you guys let me know what you think. But before you go, please like, share, and subscribe. This has been the boxing. Well, this has been BG on the boxing politic. Y'all take it easy.